In a quiet suburban neighborhood, nestled among the tall trees and blooming gardens, stood a quaint little house with a weathered doghouse in the backyard. The doghouse, once home to a playful terrier, had been abandoned for years, its wooden walls now covered in ivy and moss. One crisp autumn morning, as the sun cast golden hues across the yard, a soft, unfamiliar sound emerged from within the dilapidated structure. Curiosity piqued. A young man named Eric, who had recently moved into the house, approached the doghouse cautiously. He had always been drawn to mysteries, and this unexpected noise intrigued him. As he knelt beside the entrance, he noticed a faint, bluish glow emanating from the shadows inside. Taking a deep breath, Eric gently pushed open the creaky door. To his astonishment, inside lay a tiny, delicate creature unlike anything he had ever seen. She was no more than a foot tall, with translucent wings that shimmered in the sunlight and skin that glowed with a soft azure light. Her eyes, large and luminescent, blinked up at him with a mixture of fear and hope. What are you?" Eric whispered, his voice filled with wonder. The miniature being winced, attempting to speak but producing only faint, melodic tones. Realizing she was too weak to communicate, Eric carefully extended his hand. She hesitated, then, with a trembling touch, placed her tiny hand in his. A surge of warmth passed between them, and in that moment, an unspoken bond was formed. Eric gently lifted her from the confines of the doghouse, cradling her in his hands as he carried her into his home. He laid her on a soft cushion and fetched a small bowl of water, which she sipped gratefully. As the minutes passed, color returned to her cheeks, and her breathing steadied. "Thank you," she finally whispered, her voice like the tinkling of distant chimes. Eric smiled, relief washing over him. "You're welcome. My name is Eric. What's yours?" She looked up at him, her eyes reflecting the light like twin moons. "I am Lyra," she replied softly. "I come from a distant world, far beyond the stars you see at night." Eric's heart raced. An alien here in his home? The reality was almost too much to comprehend. Yet, as he gazed into Lyra's eyes, he felt an overwhelming urge to protect and care for her. "How did you end up here, Lyra?" he asked gently. Lyra's expression grew somber. "My spacecraft encountered a malfunction, and I was forced to make an emergency landing. I sought refuge in that small structure outside, but I was injured and became too weak to continue." Eric nodded, his mind racing with questions, but he pushed them aside for now. "You're safe here," he assured her. "Rest and regain your strength. We'll figure everything out together." As days turned into weeks, Lyra's health improved under Eric's attentive care. He fashioned a small bed for her and provided her with fruits and honey, which she seemed to favor. In return, Lyra shared stories of her homeland, a world of floating islands and crystalline waters, where beings like her lived in harmony with nature. Their conversations flowed effortlessly, and a deep connection blossomed between them. Eric found himself captivated by Lyra's tales, and Lyra, in turn, was fascinated by Earth's culture and Eric's experiences. They spent hours talking, laughing, and learning from each other, their bond growing stronger with each passing day. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of pink and orange, Lyra fluttered onto Eric's shoulder, her presence as light as a feather. "Eric," she began hesitantly, "I must find a way to return to my people. They will be worried about me." Eric's heart sank at the thought of losing her, but he knew he couldn't keep her from her destiny. "I understand," he replied softly. "But how can we achieve that?" Lyra's eyes sparkled with determination. "There is a beacon in my spacecraft that can send a distress signal to my world. If we can activate it, they will come for me." Eric nodded, resolve hardening within him. "Then let's find your spacecraft and get you home." Together, under the cover of night, they ventured into the woods behind Eric's house, guided by Lyra's memory and the faint glow of her skin. After hours of searching, they stumbled upon the remains of her vessel, hidden beneath a canopy of leaves and vines. The spacecraft was small, barely larger than a car, with sleek, silver surfaces now marred by scorch marks and dents. Inside, they found the beacon, its power source depleted. "We need an energy source to power this," Lyra explained, her brow furrowing in thought. Eric considered their options. "I have some old electronics at home. Maybe we can salvage parts to create a makeshift battery." Lyra nodded, hope gleaming in her eyes. "It's worth a try." Over the next few days, they worked tirelessly, dismantling gadgets and piecing together components. Their hands brushed frequently, sending tingles up Eric's spine, and their shared glances lingered longer than before. The air between them was charged with unspoken emotions. Finally, their makeshift battery was complete. With bated breath, they connected it to the beacon. The device hummed to life, emitting a pulsating light that shot skyward, piercing the night. "It's done," Lyra whispered, her voice trembling with a mix of relief and sorrow. Eric forced a smile, hiding the ache in his heart. "Now we wait." As they sat together under the stars, Lyra nestled against Eric's neck, her warmth seeping into his skin. He closed his eyes, memorizing the feel of her, the scent of her hair, the sound of her breathing. "Eric," she murmured, her voice barely audible, "thank you for everything." He swallowed the lump in his throat. "I'll miss you, Lyra." She pressed a gentle kiss to his cheek, her lips like a whisper of wind. "And I you." Hours later, a shimmering portal opened above them, and a beam of light descended. The night was calm, the stars above twinkling like distant promises. Eric and Lyra stood beside the remnants of her spacecraft, their makeshift battery successfully powering the distress beacon. The pulsating light reached skyward, a silent plea to the cosmos. As they waited, a comfortable silence settled between them. Eric glanced at Lyra, her delicate features illuminated by the beacon's glow. He felt a pang of sadness at the thought of her leaving but pushed it aside, focusing on the present moment. "Lyra," he began softly, "what will happen when your people arrive?" She turned to him, her luminous eyes reflecting a mixture of emotions. "They will take me back to my world," she replied. "But I will miss this place." "And you?" Eric's heart skipped a beat. "I'll miss you too," he admitted, his voice tinged with melancholy. "These past weeks have been extraordinary." Lyra fluttered her wings gently, a gesture Eric had come to recognize as her way of expressing emotion. "I never expected to find such kindness here," she said. "You have shown me a world I never knew existed." Before Eric could respond, a soft hum filled the air. They looked up to see a shimmering light descending from the sky, growing brighter as it approached. Lyra's eyes widened in recognition. "They're here," she whispered. A sleek, silver vessel materialized above them, its surface smooth and reflective. A beam of light extended from its underside, enveloping Lyra in a gentle glow. She looked at Eric, her expression a blend of sorrow and gratitude. "Thank you, Eric," she said, her voice trembling. "For everything." Eric reached out, his fingers brushing against her tiny hand. "Take care, Lyra," he replied, his throat tight. "Safe travels." With a final, lingering look, Lyra was lifted into the air, ascending toward the waiting ship. Eric watched until she disappeared from sight, the vessel vanishing as swiftly as it had arrived. The night grew still once more, the only evidence of their encounter the faint hum of the beacon. Days turned into weeks, and life returned to its routine for Eric. Yet, the memory of Lyra lingered, a bittersweet reminder of a connection that transcended worlds. He often found himself gazing at the night sky, wondering about her and the distant realm she called home. One evening, as he sat on his porch, a familiar hum broke the silence. Eric's heart leapt as he looked up to see a shimmering light descending toward his backyard. He rushed to the spot where Lyra's spacecraft had been, hope and disbelief warring within him. The light coalesced, and from it emerged Lyra, her wings shimmering in the moonlight. Eric's breath caught in his throat as she approached, her eyes shining with emotion. "Lyra," he breathed, scarcely believing his eyes. "You're back." She nodded, tears glistening on her cheeks. "I couldn't stay away," she confessed. "My world felt empty without you." Overwhelmed, Eric knelt to her level, his eyes searching hers. But your people? They understand, she interrupted gently. They know that I have found something precious here. Eric's heart swelled with joy. Stay, he whispered. Stay with me? Lyra smiled, a radiant expression that lit up the night. I will, she replied. For as long as you'll have me. From that night on, Lyra became a cherished part of Eric's life. They built a new home together, blending their worlds into one. Their bond deepened, a testament to the power of love and the limitless possibilities of the universe. As they sat beneath the stars, hand in hand, they knew that their journey was just beginning. Together, they would explore the wonders of both their worlds, united by a love that defied the boundaries of space and time. Eric and Lyra settled into a harmonious routine, their lives intertwined in a dance of shared experiences and growing affection. Each day brought new discoveries, deepening their connection and understanding of one another. In the mornings, Eric would prepare breakfast, carefully selecting fruits and honey that Lyra favored. They would sit together by the window, sunlight streaming in, sharing stories of their respective worlds. Lyra spoke of floating islands and crystalline waters, painting vivid pictures with her words. Eric, in turn, recounted tales of Earth's history, its diverse cultures, and his own personal adventures. One afternoon, as they strolled through a nearby meadow, Lyra paused to admire a cluster of wildflowers. She hovered above them, her wings casting a delicate shadow on the petals. These are beautiful, she remarked, her voice filled with wonder. We have nothing like this on my planet. Eric smiled, plucking a blossom and handing it to her. Earth has its charms, he said softly. But it's even more beautiful now that you're here. Lyra's cheeks flushed a deeper shade of blue, and she looked away shyly. You flatter me, Eric. He reached out, gently lifting her chin so their eyes met. It's the truth, Lyra. You've brought a light into my life that I never knew was missing. Their gazes held for a moment, the world around them fading into the background. In that silent exchange, an unspoken promise was made, binding their hearts closer together. As the days turned into weeks, their bond deepened. They spent evenings under the stars, Lyra teaching Eric the constellations as they appeared from her home planet. She would trace patterns in the sky, her fingers leaving trails of shimmering light that danced above them. One night, as they lay side by side on a blanket, Lyra turned to Eric, her eyes reflecting the starlight. Eric, she began hesitantly, there's something I need to tell you. He propped himself up on his elbow, concern etching his features. What is it, Lyra? She took a deep breath, her wings fluttering nervously. My people, they have a custom. When two beings share a deep connection, they perform a ritual to solidify their bond. Eric's heart raced. What kind of rituals? Lyra sat up, folding her legs beneath her. It's called the luminous ceremony. It's a way of merging our energies, creating a lasting link between us. He reached out, taking her tiny hand in his. What does it involve? She looked down at their joined hands, her thumb brushing over his skin. We would need to find a secluded spot, away from any distractions. At dusk, we would sit facing each other, and I would guide you through a series of meditative steps. Our energies would intertwine, creating a bond that transcends physical space. Eric considered her words, a mixture of excitement and apprehension swirling within him. And this bond, it's permanent? Lyra nodded. Yes. It's a commitment, a promise to remain connected, no matter the distance between us. He squeezed her hand gently. I want that, Lyra. I want to be connected to you, always. Tears glistened in her eyes as she smiled. Then let's do it, Eric. Let's become one. The following evening, they ventured to a secluded glade, the setting sun casting a warm glow over the landscape. They sat facing each other, knees touching, as Lyra instructed Eric to close his eyes and focus on his breathing. Imagine a light within you, she whispered, her voice soothing. A warm, radiant light that grows with each breath. Eric followed her guidance, visualizing the light expanding within him. Now, she continued, reach out with that light, let it seek mine. He envisioned his light extending, searching for hers. Suddenly, he felt a warmth, a gentle pulse that resonated with his own. That's it, Lyra murmured. Let our lights merge, becoming one. As their energies intertwined, Eric felt a profound sense of unity, a connection that transcended the physical. It was as if their souls had fused, creating a bond that was unbreakable. When he opened his eyes, he found Lyra glowing with a brilliant light, her wings shimmering like never before. Lyra, he breathed, awestruck. She smiled, her eyes filled with love.
We are one now, Eric.
Our hearts, our souls, forever intertwined. In that moment, Eric knew that no matter what challenges lay ahead, their bond would endure. They had transcended the boundaries of their worlds, creating a love that was truly cosmic. As they walked back home, hand in hand, the night sky above seemed to shine brighter, as if celebrating their union. The universe had brought them together, and now, bound by love and light, they were ready to face whatever the cosmos had in store for them. As the days grew shorter and the chill of autumn settled in, Eric and Lyra's bond continued to flourish. They had become inseparable, sharing not only their lives but also their dreams and aspirations. One crisp evening, as they sat by the fireplace, Lyra looked up at Eric, her eyes reflecting the dancing flames. Eric, she began softly, there's something I've been considering. He turned to her, curiosity piqued. What is it, Lyra? She hesitated, her wings fluttering slightly, a sign of her nervousness. I've been thinking about how we can bridge the gap between our worlds. To truly understand each other, perhaps it's time for you to visit my homeland. Eric's eyes widened in surprise. The idea of traveling to another planet was both thrilling and daunting. You mean go to your world? Lyra nodded, a hopeful smile playing on her lips.
Yes.
I believe it's possible. My people have the technology to facilitate such a journey, and I want you to see where I come from, to experience my culture firsthand. Eric considered her proposal, excitement bubbling within him. I would love that, Lyra. But how would we make it happen? She reached out, taking his hand in hers. We can send a message to my people using the beacon from my spacecraft. They can arrange for your passage. Over the next few days, they worked together to reactivate the beacon. Once the signal was sent, they waited in eager anticipation. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, a familiar shimmering light appeared in the sky. A sleek vessel descended gracefully, and from it emerged a delegation of Lyra's kin, their wings glistening under the twilight. A tall figure stepped forward, inclining his head respectfully. Greetings, Eric. I am Thaler, an envoy from Lyra's homeland. We have received your message and are prepared to escort you. Eric felt a mix of awe and nervousness, but was reassured by Lyra's comforting presence beside him.
Thank you, Thaler.
I'm honored by the invitation. With formalities exchanged, Eric and Lyra boarded the vessel. As they ascended into the cosmos, Eric marveled at the vastness of space, stars stretching infinitely in every direction. Lyra stayed close, her hand in his, offering silent support. After a journey that felt both instantaneous and eternal, they arrived at Lyra's world, a breathtaking realm of floating islands suspended above crystalline waters, bathed in hues of lavender and gold. The air was filled with melodic hums, and bioluminescent flora illuminated the landscape. Eric was introduced to Lyra's community, who welcomed him with open arms. They were fascinated by his tales of Earth, and he, in turn, was captivated by their customs and way of life. He learned about their harmonious relationship with nature, their art, music, and the deep sense of unity that permeated their society. One evening, during a communal gathering, Lyra led Eric to a secluded grove. The setting suns cast a warm glow, and the air was thick with the scent of blooming flowers. Eric, Lyra began, her voice tinged with emotion, there's a tradition among my people, a ceremony that symbolizes the union of two souls. It's called the Ilarion. I would be honored if you would partake in it with me. Eric's heart swelled with love. I would be honored, Lyra. The ceremony was simple yet profound. They stood facing each other, hands intertwined, as Lyra's kin formed a circle around them, chanting a harmonious melody. A soft light enveloped them, and Eric felt a deep connection, not just with Lyra, but with the very essence of her world. As the ceremony concluded, Lyra looked into Eric's eyes, her own shimmering with tears. "We are now bound, our souls intertwined across the stars." Eric leaned in, pressing his forehead to hers. "No matter where we are, our hearts will always be one." Their time on Lyra's world was transformative. Eric gained a profound appreciation for the interconnectedness of all life and the beauty of embracing differences. When it was time to return to Earth, he did so with a heart full of love and a mind enriched by new perspectives. Back home, Eric and Lyra continued to build their life together, their bond stronger than ever. They became ambassadors of their respective worlds, sharing their experiences and fostering understanding between their peoples. Their love story became a beacon of hope, a testament to the power of connection, compassion, and the belief that love knows no boundaries, not even those of the stars. As winter's chill enveloped the land, Eric and Lyra found solace in each other's company, their bond growing ever stronger. The world outside was blanketed in snow, but inside their cozy home, warmth and love flourished. One evening, as the wind howled outside, Eric stoked the fireplace, casting a golden glow across the room. Lyra sat perched on the armrest of his chair, her wings shimmering in the firelight. "Eric," she began softly, "I've been thinking about our future." He looked up, meeting her luminous gaze. "What about it?" She hesitated, her delicate fingers tracing patterns on the fabric. "I've come to love this world, and being with you has brought me immense joy. But I can't help but wonder, what if we could share our lives with others like us?" Eric's brow furrowed in confusion. "What do you mean?" Lyra took a deep breath, her wings fluttering gently. "On my planet, we have the ability to create life through a merging of energies. It's a deeply intimate process, resulting in offspring that carry the essence of both parents." Eric's eyes widened in surprise. "Are you saying we could have a child?" She nodded, a hopeful smile gracing her lips. "Yes, if you're willing. It would be a unique being, a blend of both our worlds." The idea was both exhilarating and daunting. Eric took a moment to process, then reached out to gently cup her cheek. "Lyra, nothing would make me happier than to start a family with you." Tears of joy welled in her eyes as she leaned into his touch.
Thank you, Eric.
"This means more to me than words can express." Over the following weeks, Lyra guided Eric through the preparations for the energy merging ritual. They gathered natural elements from the forest, crystals that resonated with their combined energies, and spent time in meditation to attune their spirits. On the night of the new moon, when the sky was at its darkest, they performed the ritual. In a secluded glade, under a canopy of stars, they sat facing each other, their hands intertwined. A soft glow emanated from their joined hands, growing brighter as their energies merged. As the ritual reached its climax, a brilliant light enveloped them, and a sense of profound unity washed over them. In that moment, they knew their energies had successfully combined to create new life. Months passed, and Lyra began to exhibit signs of the impending arrival. Her glow intensified, and a gentle hum resonated from within her. Eric remained by her side, tending to her needs and marveling at the miracle they had created together. One serene spring morning, as the first rays of sunlight filtered through the trees, Lyra felt the time had come. They returned to the glade where the ritual had taken place, the air thick with anticipation. With Eric's support, Lyra channeled her energy, and a small, radiant cocoon materialized before them. It pulsed with life, emanating warmth and light. Over the next few days, they watched over the cocoon, their excitement growing. Finally, the shell began to crack, and a tiny being emerged, a perfect blend of human and alien features, with delicate wings and bright, curious eyes. Eric and Lyra gazed in awe at their child, overwhelmed with love. They named the baby Aria, symbolizing the harmony of their union. As they cradled Arya between them, they knew their lives had been forever changed. Their love had transcended the boundaries of their worlds, creating a new life that embodied the beauty of their unique connection. Together, they embraced the future, ready to face whatever challenges and joys awaited them as a family. As the seasons turned and little Arya grew, Eric and Lyra's life settled into a joyful rhythm. Their days were filled with laughter, discovery, and the simple pleasures of family life. Arya, with her unique blend of human and alien traits, brought endless wonder to their world. One serene evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of pink and gold, Eric and Lyra sat on their porch, watching Arya chase fireflies in the fading light. The tranquility was suddenly interrupted by a familiar hum, a sound that had once heralded Lyra's arrival. Looking up, they saw a shimmering light descending from the sky. A sleek, silver vessel materialized above their yard, its surface reflecting the twilight. Eric felt a pang of apprehension, while Lyra's eyes widened in recognition. The vessel landed softly, and a figure emerged, tall, with translucent wings that glowed softly in the dim light. Lyra stood, her hand clutching Eric's. "It's Thaler," she whispered, recognizing the envoy from her homeland. Thaler approached, his expression unreadable. "Lyra," he began, his voice resonant, "we have come to bring you and your child back to our world. The Council believes it's time for Arya to learn about her heritage." Eric's heart clenched. The thought of losing his family was unbearable. "But this is our home," he protested. "We can't just leave." Lyra squeezed his hand, her eyes reflecting his turmoil. "Thaler, our life is here now. Arya is thriving. Surely, we can teach her about her heritage without uprooting her." Thaler's gaze softened. "The Council anticipated your attachment to this place. They have proposed an alternative." He paused, ensuring he had their full attention. "They wish to establish a permanent portal between our worlds, allowing free passage for you, Eric and Arya. This way, Arya can experience both cultures, and our peoples can learn from each other." Eric and Lyra exchanged a glance, hope blossoming between them. "That could work," Eric said slowly. "But how would it be done?" Thaler smiled. "With your permission, we can begin the process immediately. It will require the energy from the luminous ceremony you both performed, as well as a commitment to maintain the bond between our worlds." Lyra nodded, her wings fluttering with excitement. "We agree." Over the next few days, preparations were made. The glade where Eric and Lyra had bonded became the focal point for the portal. Lyra's people worked alongside Eric, combining their advanced technology with Earth's natural energies. Finally, the portal stood ready, a shimmering archway pulsating with light. Thaler addressed the gathered crowd. "This portal represents a union between our worlds, a testament to the love and understanding shared by Eric and Lyra. Through it, we can explore new horizons together." With that, the portal activated, creating a bridge between Earth and Lyra's homeland. Eric, Lyra, and Arya stepped through, finding themselves in the breathtaking realm of floating islands and crystalline waters. Their arrival was met with celebration. Arya marveled at the wonders of her mother's world, while Eric found himself embraced by a culture that had once seemed so distant. As they stood hand in hand, gazing at the twin suns setting over Lyra's homeland, Eric realized that their journey was far from over. Together, they had forged a path between worlds, creating a future where love knew no boundaries. And so, their story continued, a tale of two souls from different worlds, united by love, and the bridge they built to connect their universes.